Dave Palumbo here for RX Muscle, and I want to talk to you about a legend in bodybuilding, Tom Platz. But the question is, why is Tom Platz such a legend? Why has Tom Platz become almost like a urban folklore of bodybuilding? And, you know, I've studied this. I've looked at it over the years. I've actually interviewed Tom several times throughout the years, and I've come to a conclusion of my own. It wasn't just his physique, because he never won the Mr. Olympia. Some people thought maybe 1980 he should have won it, or 81, but the bottom line is that we know Tom Platz as you know, probably the best legs in all of bodybuilding. I remember Per Bernal, who was one of the premier photographers in our industry, maybe in the history of bodybuilding, was shooting my legs after, I think it was the 2003 USA Championships, and he said to me, "I'm going to give you a compliment. You have the second best pair of legs that I've ever recorded in bodybuilding." I said, and that was a huge compliment. I didn't think I was even in the top 5. And he said, "You're second." I said, "Who was the first?" He said, "Tom Platz." And I mean, Platz, if you look at his quads, the level of definition, convolution, size, separation was incredible. And one of the things that made Tom, you know, known for his legs is his ability to squat. I mean, one of the videos that that kind of blew my mind when I was coming up in the bodybuilding world was that he had when he was, you know, had left the IFEB and was working with Vince McMahon at the WBF. They did a squat off, him and Fred Hatfield. It was a televised event, and they did it was 500-pound squat for reps, and Tom did 23 reps, which was, I mean, if you think about it, 500 pounds on your back for 23 reps. I interviewed him once about this and asked him about this, and the pressure on your body after 10 reps alone is exquisite. After 15, you want to die, and after 20, you basically you don't even feel your body anymore. And he did 23 reps. We're watching the video right now. I mean, that to me shows a person's tenacity, their never quit attitude. I'm sure there are other guys who had, you know, who were stronger than he was, but they just didn't have his heart. And that's a testament to why Tom was so successful in bodybuilding. Not because he had the best legs, but because he would never quit. Ever, ever, ever. He would do whatever it took to be the best that he could be. And he had genetic flaws. He didn't have wide shoulders. His upper body didn't match his legs. But he became a legend nonetheless. And if you watch my interviews with him, okay, whether you listen to the radio that I did many, many years ago with Muscular Development, or you watch the interview I just recently did with him at the Mr. Olympia Expo, you'll see here's a guy who's sure of himself. He has always had a game plan. He never believed that he couldn't improve. He never believed that there wasn't anything he could accomplish if he put his mind to it. And he's doing that right now in his current life. You know, everything this guy did from the moment he started bodybuilding was geared at being the best Tom Platz he could be. He didn't care what the naysayers said. "Oh, you don't have the genetics to do this." He didn't care about if people thought he was too extreme in what he did. He did what he believed in, and he accomplished something that no one else has accomplished. Okay, not just physique-wise, having the greatest legs maybe of all time in bodybuilding, but as a person who people want to emulate, people who look up to. He has character. You never hear a person say a bad word about Tom Platz, okay? You might not agree with everything he says, but he always had strong moral convictions in saying it. When I was at the Olympia with him, interviewing him, I mean, the guy's in his 60s now. He's 62 years old. He looks amazing. He's still got a full head of hair. He's got muscle. He's still squatting. Not maybe 600 pounds anymore, but he's squatting 400 pounds still. I don't know how he's doing it, to be honest with you. He's got a gorgeous wife who's older than him, who looks like she's younger than me. And at the expo, you know, I said, "Tom, what are you doing here?" Because he never goes to shows. You know, very rarely do you see Tom out. And, you know, there's a guy by the name of Artemis Dolgan, who is a classic physique competitor out there. Chris Aceto actually worked with him. Chris told me about this guy years ago. Chris said this guy could be Mr. Olympia in classic physique if he ever put his mind to it. Artemis had this great idea to start a vintage clothing line. He called it Golden Aesthetics. And he basically took all the old styles from back in the day that these guys wore at Gold's Gym Venice, not the one we know today, but the one that was, the old Gold's Gym Venice. And he said, I'm going to make a clothing line that's reminiscent of that. Very comfortable, loose fitting type stuff, the short shorts, the ribbed tank tops with the striping on it. And I'm going to put together an individual line for each, classic pro out there, okay? Whether it be Danny Padilla, Samir Bannout, Tom Platz, and they all have their own line. He made these guys their own line, and the clothing line is doing incredibly well. They're selling tons of T-shirts. Tom said they're selling thousands of T-shirts. And Artemis flew all these guys out to the Olympia. Padilla, Platz, Samir. He put them up. He fed them. He gave them the ability to work the booth. They had a great time out there. It was a good old time. So that's Artemis on the right there. And the funny thing was, I was so enamored with doing my interview with Tom Platz because I got to interview Tom Platz, right? And I've known Tom for a number of years, and I probably talked to his wife Cha more than I talked to Tom, because Cha is into all kinds of naturalistic and healing. She's into raw foods, and I'm really interested in all that. So her and I talk on the phone a lot about all that stuff. But when I was interviewing Tom, Cha brought over Artemis, and I basically said, "Get the hell out of the interview! You're ruining my interview with Tom Platz," as a joke. But the truth is that I didn't even know who he was at the time. But I wanted to say that, I'd love to get Artemis actually on the TV show himself to talk to him about how he came up with this idea, because it's brilliant. If you think about it, we all love the old styles. We all love the old bodybuilders, and the clothing is great. That's Artemis right there. There is. I tell him to get lost, basically. But look at the styles up on the wall there. They're great. Tom gave me a shirt. I've worn it about 40 times already, and I'm going to need to get another one from him. But the bottom line is that Tom Platz is a legend because Tom Platz is a human being. He's a real person, a man of conviction. And if we could all learn a little something about how to live our lives and how to live our lives passionately, it's by emulating the life of Tom Platz. And Tom, I want to thank you for taking the time doing that interview with me. And you know what? You're a class act, and you're the reason why bodybuilders have a good name in this industry. I know there's a lot of bodybuilders that give us a bad name. You give us a good name, and I want to thank you for that. Dave Palumbo with my rant of the week.